If you're a Cleveland Browns fan looking for a break from the emotional roller coaster that is the price we pay from loving then hating our Browns, then a big welcome to Cleveland Browns Anonymous, a group therapy podcast to help you survive the season. So let's start our meeting.
Hi, everybody. It's Mike Riley on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon, almost September 1st, 70 degrees, sunny. With me is my partner on the Cleveland Browns podcast, Brook Riley. Brook, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
All right. Well, the exhibition season is over, and I wanted to just they don't want to get into the minutia of regular, exhibition season and, who's making the cut, who isn't it, because my many years long-suffering Browns fan has shown exhibition season is questionable at best. Of course, we're going to start out talking about the big news going into the regular season, and that's the cutting of Cade York. So, Brooke, let's start out with that. Your general thoughts.
Well, I don't know his stats specifically for the preseason, but I know it was, I think it was around 50% for extra points or for field goals, which that's not going to cut it.
Yeah, this is after six of six and near perfect in practice, and then obviously a guy with the yips and when the lights are on. So keep going, Brooke. I'm sorry.
So, yeah, I think, the front office did what they had to do. I hear they're trying to put him on the practice squad because, there have been plenty of current kickers on rosters now who their first couple of years, they had some, some growing pains. So we'll see if he makes it to the practice squad. But, I think the front office did what they had to do. So I think it was a smart move. I have no idea who this other guy is, but we'll see.
Well, he's a veteran, and he's been down this road before, and he seems to be the word I'm reading about, the guy's money when the game's on the line. In fact, inside the 40, he's almost perfect. So, yeah, I read a few disturbing columns and podcasts, talking about Cade York from the Cleveland.com sports writers. Ashley Bastock had a column. She talked about Cade York's personality and whether, his LSU coach had to really work with him to get his head screwed on straight after his freshman year, dealing with perfection being a dark road. So I invite everybody to read Ashley's column at Cleveland.com. But I think what, to me, it opens up the discussion about how are the Browns getting the most out of their players? And I was just waiting for watching the impact of Bubba Ventrone in terms of getting in Cade York's ear and making him better. Ashley's column talked about, and Mary Kay brought up the same thing about, a sports psychologist, about Cade York didn't want to meet with the legendary Browns field goal kicker Phil Dawson, as a mentor. And to me, I'm thinking to myself, if I was a head coach, I would sit down with this 21, 22-year-old kid and basically say, this is not up for discussion. Okay? You will be meeting with Phil Dawson on a regular basis. We're bringing him into the training camp. We're going to want you to meet with the sports psychologist. We've made outreach to your LSU coach. We're all about making you better. Now, I don't really care whether you want to go this route or not. You will be going this route. And coaching is about making the players better. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer to rely on the most successful field goal kicker on the team, since they came back, especially in that stadium with that wind on the lake. I remember hearing plenty of podcasts with Phil Dawson on, and he had all these tricks and insights about the wind and changing directions on the field goals. And I remember he had told a story that he had asked the stadium crew to put a special flag in a corner so he could tell, direction of the wind and all that. So, but I mean, hey, look, the Browns did what they had to do.
They did what they had to do, but my point was they could have done a lot more on the front end instead of this predictable back end, because they had to do what they had to do. They had to let him go. The guy was just getting worse. I mean, he had 3 game-winning kicks in exhibition season, and he clanked them all. So he was obviously in the garbage can. He'll probably end up on the practice squad, because who would want to take this guy off the waiver wires? I mean, his head's obviously not screwed in the right way. Now, maybe if you got nothing to lose, if you're, into developing your players and, you're in rebuilding year, like, maybe the Indianapolis Colts or whatever, you're kicking in a dome, maybe they might pick him up. But I think he's going to go on the practice squad, and the whole idea is to make this kid better. And they really should change how they coach these people up, which, to me brings up the next issue of how are you coaching, how are you managing? And that's the stories that have came out over the exhibition season. And as everybody was singing the praises of Jim Schwartz, all the things that happened that are starting to leak out from last season, starting with Jadeveon Clowney. You want to tell our audience about what happened with that, if they don't already know?
Well, is this the news that came out at the end of last season about only wanting to go in on third downs?
Yep.
Yeah, well, he's throwing a pity party because he's not the best pass rusher on the team, and he doesn't want to go in on first and second downs, and he only wants to go in on third downs and rush the quarterback. And the Browns probably enabled that his whole time here. Yeah,
right. Just like they enabled the immaturity of Cade York. Now we seem to maybe Stefanski. I'm got my fingers crossed. They learned something from last year, and he can evolve as a head coach instead of just being a glorified offensive coordinator and play caller. I mean, head coaching. I highly suggest people read the bio on Bill Parcells. I mean, Bill Parcells is the anti-Kevin Stefanski in terms of motivating players. I mean, Clowney talking about how he doesn't want to go on in first and second down. I mean, Parcells would have ate him alive if that happened. He would have called him out in front of the locker room at practice meetings. You know what Parcells would have done, and rereading his book the second time, Parcells would have kept replaying plays where Clowney was being single blocked and going nowhere, and then he would have highlighted Miles getting blocked by 3 players, and then Parcells would have turned to the defensive line and say, all of you are going to have to step it up, and certainly Parcells would not have tolerated another year of blown coverages by Joe Wood's exotic defenses. So, one of the issues for me watching the Browns in action this year is they have the talent, and are they going to allow a malcontent or a spoiled personality or an immature personality to poison the locker room? Your thoughts, Brooke?
Well, my thoughts are for the season. I was listening to a podcast last night about it. And, all the big talk show heads and talking heads and sports podcasters, all when it comes to the Browns, their thinking behind this team is the same as mine. Is on paper this team is super talented. I mean, they've got, great line. I think the defense is vastly improved. Got the best running back in the league. Got some good weapons. They got rid of two coaches that really were not equipped to do their job. And so for me and for them, it all comes down to head coaching and the quarterback.
Hey, let's stop here. We got to pay some bills. 30 seconds, and we'll be back. Getting your house ready to sell, or you just need some basic repairs, and you can't get anybody to come out or even return your phone call. Then call Riley Painting and Contracting, your home mechanics, for all of your home repair needs, from electrical, plumbing, roof repairs, and getting your house ready to sell. 45 years in the business, a AAA on the Better Business Bureau, and we're on the preferred contractor list in Cleveland Heights and Shaker Heights. You can contact us by calling 216-371-8160 and leave a message, and guess what? We'll call you back.
I have faith in the defense. I have faith in the lines and Chubb, but honestly, it all comes down to Watson and Stefanski at this point. I think the front office did what they could. They signed some great players in free agency. I think their draft, we'll see. They hired a professional, mature defensive coordinator. They got a good special teams guy, and they said, okay, Cade York's not cutting it. We're letting him loose. We're going to trade for this guy. So the front office has done what they can. Now, in my opinion, it's all Stefanski and Watson. I need to see it from those two. And you don't get a better first couple of games. You got Cincy, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh. I mean, that's like the perfect. All right, let's see what you got.
Right. Well, the Browns were 7-10 last year, Brook?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 7-10, and they could have easily been 10-7. So if you had the same players as you had last year, Jacoby Brissett, a quarterback, same players on defense, but you had a Joe Woods gone and a Jim Schwartz in, we don't lose to the Jets. Okay.
Well, and a Cade York gone. I mean, that kid alone lost us 4 games.
I was just going to get to it. The Joe Woods defense, not only did they blow the Jets game, but they blew the Chargers where they had the lead, and their defense was just horrendous, holding leads. So let's just say the Joe Woods cost them at least 2 games, and then you have Cade York, who cost them another 2. So that's 4 games right there. And I'm talking about they had field goals to win that were blocked or missed. So those are 4 games right there. So instead of 7-10, you're now 11-6. And that's not with Deshaun Watson. I think with Watson in there, I think what we saw in that Kansas City Chiefs exhibition game, the elite ability for Watson to extend plays, a la the early years of Ben Roethlisberger, who you'd think, the guy was caught in backfield, and then he would kind of scramble out, and all of a sudden he throws a 50-yard bomb. I mean, that's Deshaun Watson right there. So, and then of course the defense, you just feel the defense the exhibition season. I know I don't really take it seriously, but there was just a whole different mentality of attack and speed and go to the ball. Jim Schwartz's attitude when he was being interviewed, he's out there. I mean, it's no bullshit. He's not letting these guys slide. There's going to be no Jadeveon Clowney problem. I mean, that defense just looked night and day over exhibition season, and that's the thing I'm going to be focused on. I'm not worried about Watson. The make or break is going to be Jim Schwartz defense being a top 5 defense and a reliable field goal kicker. We do that, we're going to do fine.
What if Watson looked like he did the last 6 games?
Oh, I don't think that's going to happen. You know
Well,
what? Even if he does,
okay, so exactly, it does come down to him.
if he no, if he's the same as Jacoby Brissett,
I'm not saying Jacoby. If Watson looked like how he did the last 6 games,
yeah, no question about it. I'm with you, but he hasn't looked that way in exhibition. I mean, he was in there in the Washington game, one drive, one touch, or they should have had a touchdown. They got Nick Chubb, and that should have been a touchdown. Against the Chiefs, I mean, he was just moving up. They were just moving down the field. The only thing that stopped him was the guy they cut, that running back who fumbled the ball. But everybody,
yeah,
they were moving. Yeah, they were moving.
Yeah.
In fact, what's interesting was the cuts that were made today. Tommy Togiai, gone.
Yeah.
Demetrius Felton,
gone.
Yeah.
There's no BS now. I mean, it's like, hey, it's put up or shut up time. I'm done
Cade.
waiting for next year. And Cade the Fade, as they call him, he's gone. It's time to win, and you don't get a better first couple games than how we've got it. So I'm excited. I want to see what Watson's got. Do I think like how he's going to be before he was suspended? No. Do I think he's going to be a better version of what we saw in the last 6 games? Yes. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle.
I think what we're going to see with Watson the first half of the season is B+ Watson.
Yeah.
With the potential to have A- Watson on the second half of the season.
Yeah.
So,
extend the plays, give it to Chubb.
Well, here's the other thing. I heard one podcast, the Quincy podcast, and this guy raised a very good point. He said with Watson back there, they can't stack the box to stop Chubb. I mean, all Chubb has been saying all exhibition season, from what I've been hearing, is 2 safeties and 2 safeties high. Okay. I mean, Chubb is going to have some lanes to run in with Watson at quarterback, and you get who's our guy that came back from the blood clot? Godwin?
Oh, yeah, Marquise Goodwin. I'm
sorry. Marquise Goodwin. Excuse me, folks. I'm going to be turning 70 next week, so a little senior memory issues here. But no, you get him stretching the field. A Njoku, who understand has been uncoverable with Watson.
Elijah Moore.
I mean, you got rid of Schwartz. I mean, that's another addition by subtraction. So yeah,
I really don't think it's going to be the same offense as it was last year.
Yeah, that's the word.
I think they're going to be throwing this ball, which just opens up Nick Chubb.
Oh,
so
Nick Chubb out of the backfield.
Yeah,
with 2 safeties high. Oh yeah.
Plus, it makes sense. I mean, I think, in my opinion, he's the best back in the league. But, he is getting older, and the shelf life of a running back isn't super old. So I think for him, plus too, I mean, his whole attitude is, he's probably like, hey, whatever's going to make the team win, I'm fine with. So,
right. I've got a quick question for you, Brooke. Kareem Hunt, has he landed anywhere?
I think they're waiting to see with Jonathan Taylor requesting a trade from the Colts. So no, Hunt hasn't signed, but I think once Jonathan Indy gets traded, then the Colts will probably sign.
Right. I kept thinking, bring back Kareem Hunt when Ford went down. So, anyways, I'm with you. I really think we've been down this road before. We got excited, with Freddie Kitchens. How good the Browns look when Baker was there in the exhibition season, and then it all just came crashing down.
It's one game at a time.
But I think Andrew Berry learned some lessons. You see that with Cade the Fade going, Felton going, Schwartz. I mean, it's like you said, Berry would want to develop these guys, and now it's like, no,
it's time to win.
Right. It's time to win. And the same thing goes with Stefanski. And Schwartz is the kind of guy that I think you talk about having veteran leadership in the locker room, with the Anthony Walkers types, teach by example to the younger players. I think a guy like Jim Schwartz is going to impact the rest of the coaching staff. That no bullshit, cut to the chase stuff. And hopefully that's going to rub off on Stefanski. So,
Yep.
So, we'll get our post Cincy Bengals podcast, and that is going to be one interesting game, right, Brook?
Okay. Yep.
All right. So, folks, we'll see you after the Bengals game. All right. Thanks, Brook.
All right. Yep. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Browns Anonymous podcast with Mike Riley. We have a lot more content on the way as we get this new podcast started. You can also check out some of our other podcasts like the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast and other new ones that will start soon. On any platform that you find yourself listening to us on, feel free to leave us a like or comment or follow us. It always helps.